Hola, PJTV amigos, I'm Andrew Klavan, and you know, they say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, watching a Bill Whittle video a day won't do that.
It's filled with vitamin W.
Bill, your question today comes from PJTV member Carmel, who suggests that not all Germans were at fault for Nazism because they didn't choose to be German. I'm not so sure about that, but wonders, is there such a thing as an innocent KKK member? All right, we're talking about guilt by association.
Yeah, guilt by association. Well, that's an interesting setup to the question, because it's true that you weren't guilty for being German. You couldn't do anything about being German, but you could control whether or not you joined the Nazi Party.
That's right.
And certainly the Nazi Party was the tip of the spear of that kind of murder, and I think everybody knew it. I mean, it just so happens I've studied this period more than anything else in history. I've studied it in depth. I'm on my third biography of Joseph Goebbels, for example. I know this stuff to the brass tacks. Originally, the Nazis were considered to be a fringe group of lunatics, and they were treated with scorn and derision. And then they put their brown shirts in the street and started knocking heads and intimidating people. And then after a while, people's desire of order overwhelmed their sense of decency. And they began to become enthusiastic backers of the Nazis. And all the people, this is the point, I'll come to the KKK in a second, of all the people who hated the Nazis before the Nazis came to power and who hated them after the war, I bet there wasn't 1 in 100 of those people that weren't standing there with their arms out when Hitler came back after defeating France in 1940. He'd conquered the Rhineland, he'd militarized the Rhineland, he'd gotten Sudetenland, and then all of Czechoslovakia, Austria, Poland,
right, and this
France,
after the
Belgium,
humiliation
Holland,
of World War I.
Right.
Yeah.
After the fall of Paris, when Hitler came back to Berlin, the town was on fire for him. He had wiped out the Western threat. He'd basically pushed the eastern border back hundreds of miles towards Russia. He was astride the world. None of the damage that was about to happen had happened yet. And 99 out of 100 Germans were there, wide-eyed and delirious at this wonderful man who they may have doubted in the beginning, and certainly they would come to despise later. But when he was giving them victories, he was as popular as he could be. You are complicit in that. You are complicit in it, no question. So the question actually was, are KKK members, is there such a thing as an innocent KKK member? Let's have a little precision in thinking, first of all. Innocent of what? Are they innocent of murder? Yes. Unless they've actually murdered somebody, they're innocent of murder. Are they innocent of racism? Almost certainly not. If you join the KKK, pretty good guess that you're a racist. You have a right to be a racist. I know that's not trendy,
no,
but you do.
Yep.
And you have a right to be whatever else you want to be, so long as you're not physically hurting somebody. So if you want to be a member of the KKK and be a racist D-bag, that's entirely your business. I think you're a D-bag. Everybody knows you think you're a D-bag. And everybody who's seen the Klan in action, who's seen the Klan at rallies, heard people from the Klan speak, anybody who's ever seen modern Klan members know these are the lowest of the low. These are some dumb, nasty, mean, tiny-souled little people. You got a right to be that in this country. No one can take that away from you. Because if I decide that you can't be a Klan member, then the question isn't what you can or can't be. The question is who gets to decide, and the answer is me.
That's right.
Right? I decide. Yeah. And then you're on your way to the world that we all hate and despise. So you have to tolerate it. I remember my dad, the only time I've been spanked a couple times in my life. The only time I thought I was spanked like more than I deserved was when my dad came home one day. He fought in the U.S. Army in World War II. He got to Germany in April of '45, in the last couple of days of the war. Never shot at, no big combat hero or anything. But he came home one day and he saw that I'd drawn on my hand here in ballpoint pen. I'd drawn a swastika, a couple of them. I'd drawn it because I'd watched Hogan's Heroes and I thought it was an interesting design. I thought it was kind of weird and hard to draw. I probably got it wrong, and he was not pleased. And he's like, I went and risked my life to fight against these people. The reason I bring that up is to say, it was my father who explained to me when the Nazis were marching on Skokie, about 1970, I guess it was. I said, Dad, why don't they just stop these people from doing it? He said, no, they've got to let them do it. You're the guy who, gave me this incredible thing about how you risked your life to wipe the symbol off the face of the earth, and now you're saying it's okay to march down the street of a small town? And he says, it has to be okay, because if it's not, then somebody's going to decide what's okay and what's not. And when somebody's deciding what's okay and what's not, you get the swastika.
Right. The only thing I would say is that the Ku Klux Klan, is an organization with a true history of violence and genuine violence. I mean, like lynching, killing, burning violence. you opt into that to some degree when you join them. And you're right. You can't prosecute a man for hating people. I don't think you can't prosecute a man for putting a sheet over his head and running around like a moron. And you can't prosecute a guy for being, as you say, a small-souled. You know, I think racism is like a sickness. I mean, at this point, you know, but you can say of somebody that when he joins, when somebody joins, for instance, the Nazi Party now, he is opting into that legacy. He's opting into that legacy of brutality and violence.
Categorically,
it's not illegal. But the question was, is he innocent? And no, he's not.
No, he's not innocent.
And you are picking up that knife and that that club and taking it in your hand, at least philosophically. I mean, it raises really interesting questions about things like Islam, where, you know, I know we're always told how many peaceful Muslims there are, and I agree there are, but it raises an interesting question of what your responsibility is as a Muslim for those many Muslims who are now terrorists, and it's not just a few, it's many, you know, and so I think we are all responsible for our belief system, and we all are answerable for that kind of group. I don't believe in group guilt, but I do believe in group responsibility. And I think that when, you know, the Pope, for instance, comes out and apologizes for the anti-Semitism of the Catholic Church, he's doing the right thing.
I agree.
You know, that's something that's important to do. But there's no way to apologize there's no way to apologize if you continue to adhere to that message. So, for instance, there's nothing inherently anti-Semitic about the Catholic Church, but there is something inherently racist, hateful, and mean, and violent, and cruel about the KKK. So, no, I don't think you can be an innocent KKK.
Well, you're absolutely right. And now we get to the difference between moral guilt and criminal guilt.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you see somebody who's an American Nazi today, you immediately have an opinion about this guy, and he's earned it.
Yeah.
You put that armband on, you've
That's right.
earned the scorn and the hatred of decent people ever. You've earned it by putting it on. You know why you put it on, and we know why you put it on.
Yeah.
But you haven't committed any crimes. You didn't kill any Jews. You just sympathize with the killing of Jews. So we can't prosecute you for murder, but you're not a really good person.
No.
And it's funny how something like that is so indicative of that kind of inner core of decay. Because if you had a friend, somebody who really had been a friend for a long time, a friend of yours in life, and you found out that guy became a Klan member or a Nazi, you would think differently of them. You would stop being their friend. I think something had gone
terribly wrong,
Yeah. And you would realize there was something in that person I never saw before,
Right.
or something terrible has happened to them.
Yeah.
We both have some familiarity with a Holocaust denier who seemed like a decent enough guy.
Yeah.
Life of the party. Find out that this guy spent his entire life trying to say that there were no gas chambers in Auschwitz. It's like, I instantly changed my opinion of him.
Yes, of course.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all we have time for today. Let us know what questions you'd like answered by leaving them in the space below. For Bill Whittle and PJTV, I'm Andrew Klavan. Thanks for watching.